Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to the webinar, Orchestrating Your Digital Channels with Magnolia 5. We're really glad you could join us today. My name's Ben Price. I'm the Marketing Communications Manager here at Magnolia. I'm just going to give you a really quick overview of what we'll be covering in this webinar with a few housekeeping items as well. First of all attendees are muted, but it doesn't mean that you can't ask any questions. Please feel free to submit your questions throughout the webinar using your GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll do the best to answer them all during the Q&A session at the end. 1 or 2 days after the webinar, we'll also be putting a recording of the video on our website and emailing everybody with a link to the recording and slides as well, so look out for that. And after the webinar, you'll also be able to contact any of the presenters who I'm going to introduce to you in a moment. The webinar will last approximately 45 minutes to 60 minutes. And today's presentation is going to explain the strategic advantages of using Magnolia CMS as an integrated content hub to manage all of your digital channels. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to today's presenters, Boris, Kraft and Pascal Mangold. So guys, welcome and over to you.
So welcome everyone. Thank you very much that you have joined our webinar. It's actually our first webinar that we're going to present Magnolia 5 today. My name is Pascal Mangold, as I already said. I'm the CEO and co-founder. I'm overlooking business development, financial issues, and stuff like this. And I would like to hand over to Boris Kraft, my business partner.
Excellent. This is Boris Kraft. I'm CTO and co-founder, and I'm glad you all joined us today. We have quite a crowd, I heard. And this picture shows me without a beard. Now I have one, and if you visit us at the conference, you'll see me with a beard. So if you see the same glasses, it's me. I just look completely differently. We want to talk a little bit about the company behind Magnolia before we really get into the topics of today.
So who's the company behind Magnolia? Magnolia has been founded 14 years ago. We have approximately 190 enterprise clients. There are out there 4,500 installations of the Magnolia CMS. We are proud that we were able to ship Magnolia 5.0 on the 20th of June this year. So you will see Magnolia 5.1 at the conference, including the enterprise edition that we will release during next week. So that's a little bit Magnolia. When you look at our clients, then you see tons of really huge clients that are using Magnolia for years. Our usual client stays with Magnolia 7, 8 years, so it's quite a long time that the clients are with us. We have just around 2 to 3 clients per year that are abandoning Magnolia, so it's really something that we are proud of, that people renewing the licenses, renewing the subscriptions. And if you look at those big companies, it's not just like departmental solutions that they are integrating with Magnolia, but it's like whole strategies that they are betting on Magnolia. I will talk later about one of those clients and show how they have integrated Magnolia in the release, the latest release.
All right, so this concludes our quick overview of Magnolia, and we'll talk a little bit about what we actually want to talk about today. And really the scope of this webinar will be very focused. It's about talking about where the web stands today, where it will develop in the future, and why we have built Magnolia 5 the way it is. It will also look at the best of breed approach versus the lock-in suite approach, as we like to call it, and show you a little bit about Magnolia 5 and how we have actually been able to build Magnolia in a way that allows you to be really successful on the web. So let me get started with the obligatory short history of the web, and specifically about business on the web. And as you all know, and this will take me just a couple of seconds, it all started out with basically businesses putting out their contact info on the website. This quickly merged into what we call brochureware websites, where you basically say, this is us and this is what we do. And sooner or later, people started and still do ad shops, commerce solutions that are typically separated or used to be separated from their other offerings on the web. The main and most interesting part about the past basically is that all of this was single channel, single device. We were just talking about the desktop. And obviously, as you all know, a couple of years ago, everything changed and changed in a big way by the introduction of mobile. So today, you know, we have a content management system. You have a content management system. That's for your basically your corporate website. And let's look a little bit more at the landscape today. So obviously, if you want to do more than a web, for instance, you want to do mobile, you will add, and you often do, add a second system to do your mobile content management. And these are just example names here. Obviously, as the CMS, you would want to use Magnolia. For mobile, maybe something like NetBiscuits or anything else. Then you will have tools to do your mail campaigns. You will have tools to build apps, and you might have tools that allow you inbound marketing to manage that, and many other tools. And this, as you can see with this image here, you typically use a wide array of tools because they allow you to be really quick out on the market. But there are some issues with this approach, and one of the main ones that we think about is the brand consistency, of course. So if you use different tools, the customer experience will change from one of your websites to the next. The email campaign might just look not pixel perfect compared to your website. Another team might have done your app and have used a tool and frameworks that didn't allow to exactly represent your corporate identity. Luckily, these issues can be solved and have been solved by systems like Magnolia in the past already. So if you use Magnolia today, and actually this is functionality we've had for a couple of years, there's no need to use many of these different tools, but you can just have one content and publish it to your corporate website or your other, websites out there, to your mobile sites, of course, from the same content. This is working with Magnolia, and I explicitly state so because it's actually still a surprise for many of our customers when they see the functionality that Magnolia provides. It's not like you need 4 different tools to create a mobile website from what you have in Magnolia, but you can actually use responsive web design and responsive web design with server-side components to bring out your content on all the mobile devices out there. Additionally, of course, other channels like newsletters can easily be fed with content from Magnolia. Also, apps are out there. There are examples for apps that have been built and are maintained with Magnolia, typically content apps.
Exactly. And we have EADS. EADS is the mother company of Airbus, who did a very nice application which they are fetching content from Magnolia. So actually the client, so the authoring environment is done within Magnolia, and they are fetching the content through our API to the iPad application. It's a very nice example on how to do these kinds of things already since 2 years.
Exactly. So finally, of course, also landing pages, and these are just a couple of channels that you can directly drive from Magnolia content and Magnolia maintained content. So I think, with this perspective, you can say that Magnolia has already, and others as well, solved a lot of the issues that you might have around brand consistency, around tracking your visitors, and also around maintenance. So let's move on to from what is possible today or was possible for a couple of years with Magnolia to where everything is moving towards tomorrow's challenges. All right, so if you talk about tomorrow, obviously, or today for some of you, there is ever more challenges coming. There's social media, you've seen that in the last couple of years, but there's also TV that you can drive today from content management, stuff like in-car entertainment or Google Glass or point of sales information, and a lot more.
And you never know what's going to come in the future. There might be tons of other channels that have to be filled with content from the same system. So the base point is there. You don't want to manage different kind of input channels where you would like to orchestrate your output channels. So everything should be done in one system.
Exactly. So, and this has been, so far we have talked mainly about marketing related stuff and output channels, but there's also, as the topic of this webinar states, there's also your services and your sales that you want to bring to the web and to the devices out there and to all the channels. So it's not only about marketing. And in the last 2 years, we have kind of talked about this whole complex of bringing marketing, services, and sales to the web as virtual or digital presence. And what I mean with that, and what we have discussed about in our keynote last year at the conference, is that organizations today need to be present through these digital channels, no matter where their customers or members or citizens are.
And most important is they don't want to rewrite their back-end applications. They would like to reuse existing technologies that they have already in-house. They would like to do that with existing and standardized methods or standardized integration patterns. And that's what we have provided for years with Blossom. It's our Spring application framework that people are using really. I mean, honestly, 80% of all our clients are using Spring application framework to provide the virtual presence through Magnolia to the web.
All right, so let's look at a couple of contenders in this space. Right now, if you look at what people are doing today, obviously you want to communicate with all your social media channels. If you look at commerce solutions, there might be tools like Hybris or Magento, for instance, or Elastic Path, and tons of other commerce engines out there. Then you talk about analytics, for instance, Omniture, or obviously Google Analytics, a big player as well, and marketing tools like Marketo or HubSpot, Evergage, which would be a personalization engine, Salesforce as an example for CRM. And you know, there are hundreds of other tools that you can use, and new ones are popping up all the time. So the market keeps changing very quickly, and the requirements to you as an organization, as an enterprise, of integrating any of these is really, really high.
So that's why people don't talk about content management system as such anymore. So the new term customer experience management popped up. Analysts took this expression to show how complex nowadays projects are. You don't want to go just live with your website on a regular browser. You would like to fulfill all the needs of all devices, all channels, and you would like to get the feedback back in the same system. You would like to react based on analytics to optimize your website. You would like to do tons of things. You would like to enrich your content from the product database, from your e-commerce system, with marketing initiatives, and so on. You would like to personalize. That's then a very advanced point, personalize your existing product offering, and would like to give and optimize this on the web. So they talk about customer experience management. So how to solve that challenge? That's a very important point. And there are different kind of vendors out there, and we say Magnolia is the right path to orchestrate. But let's have a look at what's available today. So we have currently a suite against a suite and compared to Magnolia. Suite versus best of breed. A suite is a large software that provides you with tons of things that are very useful and are very helpful to provide, to fulfill all your objectives. You get along a lot of modules, a lot of additional modules that you might use or you might not use in the future. Usually a project is done from the center, from the web content management part as the first phase. Then additional modules will be provided. It's not only that you have to integrate or use those modules from the suite, but you have your existing back-end service, your existing product databases, perhaps your own written e-commerce system that you would like to reuse. I mean, you don't want to rewrite everything because of choosing one system. So that has to be integrated as well. Additional whatever comes in the future, you have to be agile. You have to be agile, and to be agile with such a huge system, that's sometimes really complex because you have to do a lot of things at once. For example, let's talk about upgrading a big suite. That is really something that is painful because you have to upgrade and have a look at all the details of every module that you might have extended during that process. Now we talk about Magnolia. What's the different thing here? Magnolia focuses on content management. It's not only on web content management, but it focuses on web content management. We discussed a lot about, what's actually belonging to a CMS, and we came to just certain things. We said multi-channeling to provide and to serve content to different devices. That's something that's definitely a major part of the content management. So it's multi-language. That's definitely a case if you're a multi-language, a multinational company that would like to, author the content within the same system. We have additional personalization. You would like to personalize content, but that's most likely in a later stage. But first, you're happy if you're able to channel, if you're able to enrich content from your current system. So if you would like to start with Magnolia, it's just a CMS. And you can easily integrate your existing systems. As we said before in the previous slides, that Magnolia has this framework called Spring framework called Blossom that you're able to really reuse the application. New initiatives all pop up in the future. That's exactly the same, but with a small system as Magnolia, you're able to plug them in almost naturally.
All right, so let's have a little bit of a deeper look at Magnolia and how we actually solve all the challenges that we have just explained to you. As we have seen before, Magnolia already has been able to publish to a multitude of channels through the last couple of years, for the last couple of years. And now with all the challenges that you have today and tomorrow, you need to start to think about how you integrate all these new tools that are out there or that you already have. So just to reiterate, for instance, you might want to start integrating analytics, obviously something that we ship with Magnolia with, for instance, Google Analytics integration as a standard. And today it's fairly simple to integrate other tools, typically through JavaScript snippets that you add to your Magnolia output. But the core of this slide here is to explain to you that Magnolia sits right in the middle and has control over all the content and all the inputs and outputs in the system.
And there is actually a funny story about it, about integrating analytics. So if you buy a big suite that delivers additionally their own analytics software together and integrates that thoroughly, we have recently launched our China office, and we wanted to be sure that we can track what kind of companies are going to come from China. So there we are currently using Leadlander for our own website, to see what kind of companies are on our site, what they are looking at. But the funny thing is Leadlander doesn't work accurately for us in China. So we need to integrate a second analytics software just to get the figures right for China. And that's just like an example of how the use of an open system to integrate multiple analytics software, for example, or multiple e-commerce system is something which is really relevant. For example, you buy your customer buys another company and they deliver two different kind of e-commerce systems. So you don't want to rewrite everything at once. That takes almost years to come to merge those kind of companies. So you would provide both e-commerce systems within one website. And with openness and with agility, as we call it, that's definitely something which Magnolia makes as the center part of your customer experience management initiative.
Exactly. So as Pascal just mentioned, there are a lot of reasons why you need to be agile and why you need to be flexible and why we believe that Magnolia actually works better for you. So we mentioned analytics and commerce. We mentioned the problems of going into different geographical markets where one analytics engine might not really yield any results. Then there's, of course, the question of what happens if you buy new companies that already have existing infrastructure. How do you integrate that? And examples here are also, customer relationship management or personalization engines, as well as dozens of others that you might want to have. So our approach here is really to see Magnolia as the center and then have a multi-channel outbound component to it, so you can communicate to all the channels that you want, and to also, you can see this as a kind of double funnel, to integrate all the inbound information that you need. So for instance, if you have a personalization engine, Magnolia can just say, okay, personalization engine, for any request, which segment does this visitor belong to? And it could connect to Salesforce to find out if this guy is possibly somebody that's already a customer, and use that information to then generate the personalized content.
So if we talk about orchestration, orchestration comes to the point right now. So you'd like to have just one entry point, one access point to see what's gonna made with your content. You would like to control different kind of departments, what they actually do with your content, and you would like to be able to reuse certain components. Magnolia additionally aggregates all the content from all different systems and is then the presentation layer to provide full features, SEO, and all these kind of things that are so important. You don't have to deal with separate SEO approaches in several different templates. You have just one. The results are all the same. If you would like to change things, then you have to change just one point. The Magnolia templating engine has to be extended, or you have to provide new SEO capabilities to do it.
Yeah, and I think an additional benefit that you gain from the approach that we have at Magnolia, of seeing Magnolia as the center and the hub of your communication, is that now you actually can add a search engine on top of Magnolia and integrate search that goes across all of these back-end systems that you have. So this is really how you benefit from such an approach. Just imagine you want to do this with a system where you have lots of disparate systems, then it becomes really, really complex. Magnolia also decouples a lot of information. So let's say you have an SAP system that typically runs in batch mode from 6 o'clock in the evening through the night, but you still need to have access to the information in your ERP. This information can be pulled into Magnolia and runs autonomously and then gets fresh information the next day, so there's no load on your SAP system. All right, so let's move on to what Magnolia and how Magnolia actually looks and why we think Magnolia is such a great platform to integrate everything that you want to integrate to your digital presence.
Here we see the Trinity icons. They are all over our site, our software. It's really the thing that you see on first hand when you start up Magnolia. They're always visible and they're always important, and you can press those icons all the time. We call them apps, the polls, and favorites. Apps, as we said, orchestrating the whole applications that you would like to integrate. These are the places for apps to be created. As in comparison to the polls, there is where all the ingest, all the information from workflow to messages to inbound messages from any system can flow in. So we have like a place where people see what's going to happen within the system. For example, if you would like to announce that there is a new library of images within Magnolia, you don't have to use email anymore, because it's not important for people who don't have anyways access to the authoring system of Magnolia. So people can then see, okay, this, there, I see that's going to happen. Oh, I can reuse all those images. Favorites, Boris?
Yeah, I think a different way to look at the functionality that we provide, and we'll just have a demo in about 60 seconds, is if you think about all the different applications that you want to integrate in the backends, then you need an application integration on the UI level. That means that if your users want to have access to backend systems, you want to be able to do this in one system. And this is exactly what apps provide you with in Magnolia 5, where you can create apps that, by the way, also work on your tablet. So they're mobile as well as desktop. And that allows you to basically have dashboard functionality and just jump out to your HubSpot or your Google Analytics engine and then come back to Magnolia, and it's all integrated, as we'll see in a moment. Whereas the Pulse basically allows you to communicate between these applications and the users. That makes stuff really simple. And finally, the favorites is the third and missing piece in the whole integration concept, because it allows you to have to-do lists if you want. That, for instance, you can create and say, okay, how do I launch a new campaign? And then you would have a to-do list in your favorites with the different steps, and you can just click on any of them and say, well, first step, open my campaign tool. Second step, create a landing page, and would create a landing page for you and so on. And we'll just jump into the demo and look a little bit at the system.
Here we are. So I'd like to give you some overview why Magnolia looks the way it does today. If you look at the past, we have seen so many mobile devices, so many mobile apps, and those were so easy to handle and so easy to extend. So if you buy a mobile phone nowadays, an iPad, a tablet, then it's just like an operating system with nothing to be done, except of browsing, email, and perhaps calendar information. Everything else is an app. So those systems can be easily extended. So when we came to the point that you need to have one entry point of starting all your task-based apps, so that's what we call the apps. And it's nicely done. It works on every tablet device by 5.1. We have released it just for the iPad for 5.0. Should be released by 5.1 that it works on all the tablets. If you would like to jump over to the Pulse, then you see the work items, you see problems that might popped up, or you see information, or all messages. If you would like to go to the favorites, simply go to favorites. Add contact to office page is here, a quick link to a certain space. I'd like to go back quickly. So the big benefit of this interface is it's extensible, it's future-proven, you can work on any device, because we all know that our future workspace doesn't have to be on a laptop, doesn't have to be on a PC. It might be definitely that it is on a big tablet device and you work from home, you work from different areas. It's like the professional workforce that does that. So if I'm going to open the pages, I can see my tree view. A tree view works very simple, as everybody understands that, and people can use the right mouse click to open something. If they don't know what the right mouse click works, they can use the menu here. If they want to hide the menu, they can hide the menu or open it again. If I would like to open that page, I can simply double click it and the visual editing interface pops up. Don't want to go too much into detail, but just to show you how easy such a text and image paragraph can be changed. For example, the image can be changed, just like to show you how that works. Now a dialog pops up if I press the edit button. If I would like to go for the images and I select another image, I can simply do that by selecting here. If I want to see the overview of the images, if I want to see them a little bit bigger, I can simply choose it. So a full-featured asset management is included. And from our integration policies and our integration strategy, something that you don't have to store the images within Magnolia. You can use your existing image database and connect that to Magnolia. But that looks exactly the same than it would have been stored in Magnolia. So you're flexible to use whatever you have existing, you don't have to use the Magnolia itself. But here, of course, in this demo, we are using the Magnolia Asset Management. I'm going to choose that. I don't want to have it left of the text. I have it above the text. It's interesting that if you look at our competitors, image rendering is something we provide for the presentation layer for all devices naturally for us within the core functionality of the system. So if I save the changes, then the image will be taken and will be rendered accordingly. And it's not only rendered for the web display that I have currently, it's rendered for the desktop, it's rendered for the smartphone as well. So if I go down here, it's actually exactly the way it should work. So you don't have to care, even as a developer, you don't have to care where it's displayed in the future. The templates only have to be adapted and then it's rendered right. So Magnolia as the center part, you see the presentation layer is based on Magnolia, but actually the content can come from everywhere, might come from Magnolia, but might come from different kind of systems. If I would like to jump into the asset management, then I jump into the asset management. You know, some nifty features, some transitions that we have built in. And as we see Magnolia as a framework to do all the things that you have to do, as Boris said before, the UI framework that we have really thoroughly thought about it, that works on all devices, can be used to create all this. And these kind of things that we have this transparency over where we've been is so important for end user to use that system naturally.
Yeah, so this is, a little bit of the functionality in Magnolia 5. There are a couple of nice videos we have on the website, so you can dive deeper into, testing out, looking at the functionality. You can, of course, also register on our website to get access to a demo. What I would like to talk a little bit about here at this point is how this apps interface really enables you to orchestrate your channels. So as you can see right now, we have different apps here, one for contacts, assets, and pages, and it looks very simplistic, but this whole interface is extensible and you can create your own apps that connect to your software and integrate that with Magnolia. At the same time, of course, there is a community of users in Magnolia. As you know, we're an open source system, so we also have an active community. And the community has started to develop apps. As Pascal said earlier on, we have released Magnolia 5 in June, at the end of June. And we're really looking forward to the conference next month, and we'll talk about that later on, where already a couple of people have announced very interesting apps. One of them that we'll see will show you how to integrate Magnolia with SAP, for instance, or with Hybris, or with Salesforce, so you get all the backend integrations that you would want. We also have already running a social media app, so it just is another app here that allows you to manage all of your social media. We'll also add a review app in the next couple of days, should be out by next week for sure, so that you can actually look at the processes within your system. For instance, if you publish something, then it can go through the publishing workflow and you can review whatever happens.
So the interesting part of the orchestration is the ecosystem. We provide the platform for building those kind of integrations and those kind of apps. And as we have seen, as we have talked to our partners and our customers, that's exactly what's going to happen. We wish that so, of course, but it's really going to happen that people like to provide free modules. But they not only provide free modules, we've been in talk with several companies to provide best practice integration patterns, for example, for Hybris, so people can use our best practice framework to integrate external systems. And that's not the end. It's going to be more and more and more people who do that, because we have talked to so many community members that are willing to provide their knowledge to Magnolia from module, from apps, and from vertical solutions based on Magnolia.
So shall we jump back to the presentation? Yep. All right, let's see. So this was, a little bit about Magnolia 5, as I said earlier on, and I hope you have seen that it's easy to extend. We didn't really show you how to extend it, but I think you can imagine where your apps go. And I encourage you to actually come to the conference and look at how this really works. For now, we'll just show you one of the websites that has used our integration technologies to build their digital presence on the web, and that is Telia.
So Telia is one of the largest telecommunication companies. They have just released their new and latest website based on Magnolia. They have done it with the regular standard templating kit. That's our best practice templating framework, and they can deliver the same content to mobile. So if you would like to go with your mobile to telia.se, it has a separate visual appearance, but it's the same visual appearance, same templates, and it's very nice. So, and what I will show you quickly today is how they did the integration with their existing backend systems. So that's what all big companies have. They have their Spring, they have the Java applications which they would like to reuse. So if I go to the mobile telephone, then I see that this mobile telephone buying section is integrated in Magnolia. It's fully SEO out of Magnolia. Magnolia takes care of the templating and takes care of presenting it to every device. And as you see, it's a nice JavaScript in additional to that integrated in that system. So it's a lot of other things, of course, forms, you know, like several communication things, forth and back, that are done with this. But it shows you that big companies are very powerful and very agile and quick within their projects. And that's what we think is one of the most important things. Reduce the risk for big implementations. Start with your website, integrate analytics, do the first and most important integrations via Spring Framework, and you're up and running in a few months. It's not a year-to-year project, and you are able to do the change requests very quickly and very agile, because Magnolia has a very flexible modular system. You never touch the Magnolia code. You always do it within your own project. So you're flexible to upgrade for certain things to come. You're not stuck within 5.0. If you would start with 5.0, you're able to use 5.3 when it comes out next summer time, and all the latest and greatest things we have built in.
All right. So if we can go back, I think we have mentioned most of the things that we wanted to mention. There's just 1-2 more things before we jump there. Let's just quickly review what we have told you today. Basically, it's what we believe the better approach to use best of breed, or as we like to call it, the open suite or the open customer experience management way to move forward with you. As Pascal just explained, the project, if you look at the project impact of going with a full-blown suite, you will realize that there's a lot of risk associated with it, whereas if you do the step-by-step approach that we so much encourage you to do, you will have a lot of quick wins. You will have a quick return on investment. You'll be live with your most important assets very quickly. We'll be able to combine all of your different landing pages, your mobile, your apps, your web with Magnolia, and then continue to act on what is most important. Integrate new tools, integrate your analytics, integrate your commerce engine, integrate your CRM, and all of these things we make really easy with Magnolia because we have a lot of experience and a lot of technologies. Magnolia, as we said at the beginning, we have been building for 10 years now. We actually have our 10th anniversary of the product release in November, and before that we have the already mentioned Magnolia conference coming up in September. And this is really a very interesting event. It's the 4th time we do it. going to be big. We have people from all over the world, and we also have a lot of interesting technologies and brands there. So, for instance, customers like Atlassian, Al Arabiya, MBC, and EADS will be there and present, and technologies like Red Hat OpenShift or Magento, the e-commerce system, as well as Steelhouse integration, which is a marketing tool, or Open for Business, as well as Salesforce and SAP, as I mentioned earlier on, will be presented there. So it's really a very interesting event, and I would love to see you there and show you more about Magnolia 5. And I think with that, we want to conclude our presentation. A final sentence here that I'll leave you to read, and I think and hope that you will agree that this describes pretty much what Magnolia provides you with today. So we've come to the end of our little webinar today. I really thank you for joining, and I'd like to switch over to Q&A and back to Ben. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks very much, Boris, Pascal. Great presentation there. And as Boris said, yes, we can go straight into questions now. We have them coming through, so if any of you do have any more questions, please send them now and we'll answer them all as we go along. First question, okay, so right, getting straight to the point here. Why would I choose Magnolia over Adobe, for example, a suite such as Adobe, which includes WCM?
With Adobe Suite, which is a really nice tool, and it's really capable of doing a lot of things which are not out of the box with Magnolia. Magnolia advantages are you're agile, you're fast, you have a quick win, you're up and running in 3 to 4 months with a regular website. With a system like Adobe, you have much longer. With Magnolia, you're able to update easily. It's not JSPs, it's not like templates that are so much integrated in the system. You can separate them in separate projects, and that's one advantage. And of course, it's money and costs. Magnolia is cheaper than a big solution and gives you the openness to choose whatever extension you would like to do with Magnolia.
Okay, thanks, Pascal. Next one, you touched on this during the presentation already, but maybe you can cover this again quickly. Why don't you include features such as certain analytics or social media right out of the box?
Well, so here's the thing, we are really passionate about building the world's best content management system. And when we launched Magnolia about 10 years ago, we thought it will take us about another year or two to have all the functionality that content management should provide. And Pascal hinted at that earlier on when he said, what's in a content management system? And, the kind of the verdict is still outstanding because everybody has a different opinion of what a content management system really is. But going back to passion, we know a lot about, we've learned a lot about, and we know a lot about content management. We've worked with our customers for 10 years, and we think that we have an interface and an infrastructure that allows our customers to be utmost flexible in what they need to achieve. And that's also the feedback we get from the analysts that regularly say Magnolia is the easiest to use system and it's the most flexible system. And our customers, which are, you saw at the beginning, very large customers and high-end customers, they need that flexibility. So this is why we focus on content management system. It doesn't mean that you don't get analytics with it or social media integration. In fact, Magnolia comes with a Google Analytics integration out of the box that works very, very well. And it shows you, since we ship it all in open source, also shows you how to do your own integration. Regarding social media integration, for instance, there are already a couple of modules out there for Magnolia 4.5 and earlier versions that show you how to integrate Magnolia when they actually work out of the box. It's not shipped by Magnolia, but our partners. And at the conference, we'll see a new app that shows you how Magnolia is integrated with Facebook and Twitter.
Okay, thanks, Boris. Next question here. Do you have anything that supports the rapid creation of landing pages or microsites?
Yeah, of course, this is a very good question and always interesting for marketing. So again, we mentioned quickly that we have something called SDK. It's a best practice templating kit, and that allows you to basically define your design constraints, your corporate identity constraints across your organization, and provide templates for your marketing people to create, if you want, complete sites just by a single mouse click. So this can be configured to be done, and it's a great system.
Okay, thanks. And we looked at the Telia site before, but the question here is, how was the Telia booking integration actually done?
As much as I know, I have to explain how we are involved in projects like this. We have the magic triangle, as we call it. So there is the customer, there is partners, and there is Magnolia. In this case, they were partner and Telia themselves doing these kind of integrations. So we are not always up to date how they integrate those systems. They might have used Java technology. What I know now is what they loved to use when I contacted them the last time was the Spring and Blossom framework, because all their existing backend systems are made with Spring or are migrated to Spring, and then they can be used within Magnolia.
Okay, thanks, Pascal. Question about integration here. Do you have integrations with Elastic Path Commerce Engine or with Magento?
Magento, Boris can talk about that more.
Yeah, Magento is actually coming to the conference. Well, Magento isn't coming to the conference, but we have people at the conference presenting the Magento integration, which for us is quite interesting because Magento, as you might know, has really a different technology, I think based on PHP, I think. So it's not really in the Java space like we are, but it's a widely used commerce system, and so the integration with Magnolia is really relevant, where today you don't want to have a separate shop from your campaign sites, from your landing pages, from your corporate sites, but you want to have a seamless experience, and also, as we mentioned before, you want to make sure that the SEO works across your site, so the integration has to be on the HTML level.
So from what we have seen in the customer experience management forest overview, there are several different topics. It's on-site search, it's e-commerce, it's CRM, it's all of those. We will provide during the next time standard-based best practice integration patterns to integrate one of a chosen system, which we haven't defined yet, which we will define in the next 2 to 3 months. So there will be one e-commerce system, one CRM system, one other system, which we then will support based on additional costs to support those integration patterns. But people can reuse that and use that pattern for their own chosen e-commerce analytics or CRM.
Okay, great. Does Magnolia run on OpenShift?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It's another one that will be solved at the conference in 4 weeks. OpenShift is, I think Red Hat is actually there presenting OpenShift, so we're looking forward to that. Short answer, yes, it does.
Okay, that's around with short answers. Another integration question here, seems to be a popular subject. Are there any examples of integrations with personalization engines?
Well, I don't have specific examples from my own experience. Pascal might have. What I know is that personalization with Magnolia has already been done like 5 years ago by first customers from Magnolia. So Magnolia is really built in a way where it's very easy to play out personalized content. And we are, as we kind of explained earlier on, we are of the opinion that it's best to use external systems for that kind of information, simply because they will know more about your visitors than yourself in general.
But we will, quickly on our roadmap, we have currently released Magnolia 5.0. Magnolia 5.1 will be released at the conference, including the Enterprise Edition. 5.2 will be similar to what we have released in 4.5, so all the modules are migrated, and it's fully ready for high production websites. In 5.3, we have a content pool that we would like to release. So for big websites, just like Al Arabiya, where they have thousands and thousands of articles, that's something which is not the hierarchical way, but it's the flat way to manage data and to publish data on virtual pages. Additional to that, we will provide a personalization interface to do the personalization in 5.3 next summer. But we have intermediate solutions, so if people would like to already start that before, to have some kind of consulting from our subject matter experts that can help you get up to speed to release things earlier.
Okay, very good. And there is a question here about the Hybris app integration. What are the plans and which company will work on it?
We can't disclose that right now with which company we are working, because we haven't agreed upon a certain under contract, but we are in deep discussions. It will be based on the Spring framework. So Hybris has a Spring presentation layer, and we will use that Spring presentation layer and put that in Magnolia. So it's actually not so much of a work in terms of, you know, you have to connect those kind of systems via API, whatever, but it will be done, and we hope that we can announce it by the conference, what our plans are for the Hybris integration, and based on that, we hope that we can show something by Q1 2014.
Okay, thanks, Pascal. What was the, you mentioned this, Pascal, what was the name of the analytics engine which you wanted to find an equivalent for in China?
Actually, I'm not in charge of that project.
Oh, right.
But yeah, so what we've been using here is Lead Lander, which is really a very simple tool, but it goes into the direction of, let's say, HubSpot or Marketo.
Right, exactly. So, okay, the Enterprise Edition, is Magnolia Enterprise Edition also open source and accessible for everyone?
It's not, the source is not accessible for everyone. The source is accessible for people who have signed up for the subscription of the Magnolia Enterprise Edition. But then the source is open. Yes, you have access to our code whenever code is released and to our full stable version. Yes.
Okay. Does Magnolia support single sign-on out of the box?
Short answer, yes.
Very good. These answers are getting shorter and shorter. Next question, is there any list of ideas or implementations from new apps on the wiki space? For now, it's not visible what is available for Magnolia 5.
So that, just let me repeat the question. If we have a list of available apps on the wiki, I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so, because there might be ideas on there, because there's a lot of stuff on the wiki, and the wiki is open for the community, so I'm not that involved in that process anymore. But, you know, what is clear is a lot of apps will come out. This will gather, the dynamics are quite interesting. So yeah, keep your eyes open of what's coming out, and all the interesting stuff, of course, we will announce through all the channels that we have.
Okay, I'll also look into that for you and make sure that link gets included in the email when it comes out to everybody as well. A question here again about Enterprise Edition. Does the difference, will the difference between Community Edition and Enterprise Edition with Magnolia 5 remain the same?
Yes, currently yes. But Boris knows more.
Remain the same, meaning is it the same than it was before?
I think so, yeah. Sounds
yeah.
like that.
No, as we have announced, I think already a year ago or so, there will be some significant changes in terms of what is Community Edition and what is Enterprise Edition. We have streamlined the differences. Previously, we've had a lot of small-scale differences between the editions, and it has been, you know, for a long time our ambition to get the code bases closer to each other. And we have integrated already in 4.5 actually a lot of previously Enterprise Edition only features. And in 5.0, the deal was basically that we have started with a new workflow engine from JBoss, so it's JBPM, a standardized workflow engine that we ship with Magnolia 5, and that is not available for the Community Edition anymore. And the other differences are multi-site support is Enterprise Edition only, and the scalability is Enterprise Edition only.
Okay, thanks, Boris. Another integration question. Is there any enterprise search engine available and integration best practice?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, is there any enterprise search engine available, perhaps out of the box, or integration best practice?
Yeah, definitely. We have examples for Solar integration with Magnolia. Actually, our own website runs with Solar integration, so that's out there.
Okay, final question here, unless you want to send in any other questions, now's the last chance. In the preview mode, which you showed earlier, can you show the preview for different browser types?
No. No, I mean, you have to do it in different browsers. It's HTML that is rendered through the channel, so it's not for different browser types. So different browser types are not taken care of.
Just to add to this, there is a great online service that actually allows you to render the page on all sorts of browsers, and then just does screenshots and send them to you. Forgot the name right now, but we can figure out if you want to. That's probably the better option, because functionality like this for a CMS vendor is way beyond the comfort zone. Since there are so many changes all the time, it would take a company bigger than ours just to keep up with the changes.
Okay, then if there are no more questions, then that concludes today's webinar. Thanks very much to our speakers, Boris Kraft, Pascal Mangold. Thank you for your time. Thanks for everyone for joining. I hope it was useful for you. And as I mentioned, we'll be emailing you in the next couple of days with the recording, the slides, and some more useful reading as well. So thanks once more, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thanks and bye. See you soon.